afraid I'll get lost in the paper tonight.
This meeting is called to order. Would everyone please rise for the flag salute? I would ask that you please remain standing for a moment of silence for those service members and civilians lost in Afghanistan today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bruno?
Here.
Councilmember Dill?
Here.
Councilmember Frary?
Present.
Councilmember McCary?
Here.
Councilmember McGuigan?
Here.
Councilmember Owen?
Here.
Council President Johnston?
Here. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. The agenda for this meeting has been provided to 2 local newspapers and is posted in City Hall and on the city's website, summerspointgov.org. Thank you. Also present tonight is Mayor Glasser, our Administrator Frost, City Clerk Samuelson, and Solicitor Mr. Franklin. Should we do the presentation? The proclamations.
141 and 142.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to open to it.
You want to do the Garden Club amendment first? Okay.
So we should open to the public for those 2 resolutions, and then I'll say the title.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you'll,
I'll say the title.
okay. If no one has any objections, I'm going to move the agenda around a little bit, just in the interest of everyone's time. We'd like to address resolution number 141 and 142, please.
Resolution number 141 of 2021, congratulating winners of the Garden Club contest. Resolution number 142 of 2021, commendation of lifeguard Juliana Morales.
May I have a motion to open to the public for public comment just on these 2 resolutions?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open to the public for discussion just on these 2 resolutions, number 141 and 142. If you wish to speak, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. May I?
Motion to close the public portion.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now closed to public comment. Resolution number 141, please.
Resolution number 141 of 2021, congratulating winners of the Garden Club contest. Whereas the Summers Point Green Thumb Garden Club held their annual garden contest, and whereas the winners of the contest are as follows. Best member of Green Thumb Garden Club, Dan and Alice Myers. Best community garden, Summers Point Community First. Best large flower garden, Tana Maria Newell. Best medium flower garden, Betsy Kahn. Best small flower garden, Heather Lovett. Best front yard, Sevi Agrios. Best shade garden, Jim Roskovich. Best native garden, Ted Edelman. Best container garden, Mary Kate McKenna. Best large vegetable garden, Eileen Slack. Best medium vegetable garden, John Mariano. Best small vegetable garden, Joshua Stroker. Now therefore be it resolved that City Council of the City Summers Point hereby congratulate the above listed winners and thanks them for taking an interest in their community and participating in the contest.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved. That motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number, I didn't ask for. Does anyone have any comments?
Madam President,
Yes.
I just wish to congratulate all the winners, and like the resolution says, I really appreciate you taking care of your homes and your properties, and that radiates from your property and, you know, spurs your neighbors to take care of their properties. And if everybody took care of your properties like you have, to become winners like this, we'd have a lot less problems around here. So congratulations to everybody that's done that, and thank you.
Yes, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 141 is approved.
Does the mayor want to present that?
Okay, we only have one here, so who would get it?
Any of the recipients that are here, if you want to step forward and we'll have a little presentation, photo op.
Don't be shy.
Certainly.
Okay.
Have to time to hide. You want to be in the background.
That's the true definition of a warrior. I've known him for probably going on 30 years. And, you know, we're working out together on Saturday morning. And the father-in-law was there, right? You see all this stuff. And you're working out like a warrior. And this guy was such a... Yeah, person, you know what I mean? These guys with no body fat.
Thank you all for doing what you do.
Absolutely. I think about it.
Thank you.
Resolution number 142.
Resolution number 142 of 2021 commending Summers Point lifeguard Juliana Morales. Whereas on July 7th, 2021, Juliana Morales was at Summers Point William Morrow Beach performing her duties as lifeguard. And whereas a 13-year-old boy decided to exit an anchored boat and swim in the middle of the current channel. Whereas she observed this child struggling and being pulled away from the boat due to a strong current. Whereas she immediately ran from the lifeguard stand and entered the water from the end of the city dock and rescued the 13-year-old boy that was in distress. And whereas lifeguard Juliana Morales heroically brought him ashore safely and without injury. And now therefore it is hereby resolved that the mayor and city council recognize and exceedingly thank Juliana Morales for her quick thinking as well as her skillful actions by going above and beyond to save a life outside the designated swimming area. And it is further resolved that we commend our lifeguard Juliana Morales for her heroic and selfless actions and for the example she set through her dedicated service to our city and to our citizens.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr.
that, you know, many people say I could do that or I would do this in a situation. And you never really know it until you're faced with that situation. And I don't know your history up to that point, but I do know now that you react to that situation and you were ready for the challenge. And that boy and his family should be very grateful to you, and I'm sure they are. And as a city councilman, I'm especially proud of you and your actions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 142 is approved. Ms. Morales, could you come forward?
I agree with Mr. McWilliams, without a doubt, and his words so well said, that, I don't know whether anybody in a situation like that would take it upon himself to do everything he did, just and act quick of an action. So, on behalf of a very grateful city of Summit Point, I give you this full board, and, also, we'll have this suitable for framing. There you go. Turn around and carry. Come on up. There we go. Thank you very much. We're proud of it.
All right, we're going to go back
Thank
to,
you.
we can wait to do this, right?
Yeah. That can get right before,
Before we do the resolution? Okay, good. Okay.
we all get up to fair normal stuff.
Okay. We have two presentations tonight. First one is from Mr. Ferguson, from our county council, regarding county court consolidation. Welcome, Mr. Ferguson.
And Judge Sands.
And Judge Sanson is also here.
Would you mind if I sat and gave the presentation?
No, that's fine.
Come on down.
Sure.
Okay. Is that microphone?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on.
Okay. If you want to just turn that mic around so that it's recorded, that's all.
Madam Council President, Mayor Glasser, and council members, I want to thank you for inviting Judge Sanson and I this evening to talk to you about the project of the Central Municipal Court of Atlantic County. I want to first start by giving you a brief overview of the plan. We have in place now a tripartite agreement, which is between the county, the court system, and participating municipalities. All the entities have a stake in this process, and let me just explain briefly what each entity is doing. The county will be providing its property, known as the Old Criminal Courthouse in Mays Landing on Main Street, and would undertake capital improvements to create two modern courtrooms with the possibility of a third courtroom being undertaken to provide space for the conduct of municipal court proceedings. The court system, through the Administrative Office of the Courts, will be providing all of the IT and technical equipment that's needed, and will also be providing and paying for the recording system that will be used, which is state-of-the-art equipment, which is used in the Superior Court of New Jersey, both at the Civil Courthouse in Atlantic City and the Criminal Courthouse in Mays Landing. And the participating municipalities obviously have a stake in this. At the current time, we have 8 municipalities that have passed resolutions to join. The process is already underway. The agreement provided for both a governance committee and a personnel committee. Each committee consists of 5 representatives from the various municipalities. Those committees have been formed, and the Personnel Committee, in fact, held its first meeting this past Tuesday and started to take action to determine the number of spots that will be needed for this court, and then we will be soliciting and sending out announcements so that people who are interested in the positions can apply for them. The Personnel Committee will then meet, review the resumes and submissions from the candidates, will interview the candidates, and in conjunction with the assignment judge or his designee, which in this case is Judge Lou Belasco, who is the presiding municipal court judge for the vicinage, they will then interview the candidates, particularly in the areas for the judges, the court administrator, and deputy court administrator. The current plans call for there to be obviously just one court administrator, 3 deputy court administrators, and then a series of violations clerk, assistant violations clerk. We'll have an accountant on board and also an interpreter, which is required by the rules of court. We anticipate having a total of 21 support staff. That's including the positions that I just mentioned. The committee will then also solicit resumes for the positions of a chief judge, and the current outline that was presented by Mr. Howard Birchtold, who is the trial court administrator, would call for a 3-judge setup, a chief judge and then 2 associate judges who would oversee the proceedings in the municipal court. They would be vetted, the applicants rather would be vetted by the committee, including Judge Belasco on that committee, and that's required pursuant to the rules of court. The committee then would make recommendations. Those recommendations would go to the assignment judge and to the county executive. The assignment judge, under the rules of court, has to give his approval to those persons who he deems qualified for their names to be passed on. The executive would then make a selection. For instance, if we're hiring 3 judges and we have 6 or 7 people applying, if all are deemed qualified, the committee would make its recommendation to the executive. The executive would then make the final decision and would pass those names along to the governor. In any joint court setup in the state of New Jersey, it is the governor of the state of New Jersey that makes the final appointment in consultation with the advice and consent of the state senate. Where the governor does not act or does not act timely, the assignment judge of Superior Court would be able to make temporary appointments so that the court could get started. We have, as I said, 8 towns that are currently in. We are hoping that the city of Summers Point would see fit to join. We shared with you in the past pro forma financials. We presented you with an 11-member model, and that model indicated that Summers Point would save roughly close to $190,000. In formulating these financials, and these were all done by the people in the Superior Court system. The Superior Court has a municipal division headed up by Mr. Brian Jetter, and he, along with his associate Janelle Rodriguez, came up with and worked the numbers up for this. And in doing so, they went back and did a 3-year average covering the years 2017, 2018, and 2019. 2020 was not considered at the time, and that's because of the fact that you were in a pandemic year, and it was felt that the figures would be skewed for that year. So that year was not used. What the figures showed was that for those 3 years, the current average over those 3 years on a yearly basis, Summers Point was spending almost $312,000 for its court operations. You were bringing in revenue over that same 3-year period of roughly $205,000. So your court was running at a deficit of $107,000 per year. We are projecting under this that under this model that the city would the cost to the city would be almost $125,000, which means the city would be saving roughly $190,000. When you apply that against the revenue, the city would be operating, would be conducting its affairs in the municipal court at a surplus rather than at a deficit. And that, we believe, is substantial. Now, I don't unfortunately have a model that has Summers Point along with the current 8, but in doing an analysis of this, if we take a couple of the towns that were on the 11-member list who have not come in yet, those were Buena Vista Township, Port Republic, and Mullica Township. They have a total of almost 7,500 cases or filings that went through the court. But that 11-court model did not include Hamilton Township, which is in, and they are a very big court. Hamilton Township next to Egg Harbor Township, and I'm now excluding Atlantic City, but if you take all of the other towns in the county next to Egg Harbor Township, Hamilton Township produces over 14,000 cases. So when you add those into the mix, you'd be up to a total of over 50,000 cases. Roughly, I believe it's 53,000 cases. If you add Summers Point's total to that, and Summers Point averaged during that time frame just shy of 4,400 filings per year. We believe that when the numbers would be worked out, Summers Point would be saving approximately $200,000 a year on this model. Now, if more towns join, obviously the savings would be greater, but Summers Point under these models would go from a deficit of operating your court of approximately $107,000 a year to where you would be realizing a surplus at the end. In addition to the financials, there would be a better allocation of resources. Right now, when you have court here, you have to have a police officer or two on duty to provide security for the court. That won't be necessary anymore under the shared court, so your officers, rather than having to stand here for hours while court is being conducted, can be doing the investigative work and patrol work that you really hire them to do in the first instance. Now, I've heard some concerns. Concerns were raised. Madam President, as you know, you sent me a letter back on June 10th talking about a number of issues that you asked me to address, and I did my best to address those issues in a letter that I sent to you dated June 16th, and I attempted to cover those issues. I know overtime was raised. Your projections were that due to the scheduling of cases right now, the city represents that there are no overtime charges. That's because the cases are scheduled in such a way that they're scheduled when the officers are on duty, and therefore officers don't have to be called in on a day off or outside their normal work hours, and therefore accumulate overtime. The numbers, and like I said, I didn't do a deep dive into this and do a significant analysis. I think the numbers are perhaps a little on the high side that were projected here, but even if you took those numbers, where you're estimating that you would spend roughly $91,000 in overtime and you would budget $100,000 toward it, do the arithmetic, the city would still be saving. If that scenario played out to the fullest, the city would still be saving $100,000 in its court operations. Again, there are concerns. This is a new project. People by nature don't like change. What I can tell you is, though, that we believe this is the future of municipal courts. The bill that was advanced by Senator Sweeney that allows this to take place contained amendments that I, at the behest of the county executive, went to Senator Sweeney's office and had him write into the bill that would allow this to take place under the control of the county. Concerns have also been raised about personnel. And obviously, you have quality people that work for you in your municipal court. There's concerns about them. We understand that. All I can tell you there is that your people would have the right to apply for these positions and will certainly be given due consideration by the committee and by the executive. Again, we make no promises to you. We can't do that. We won't do that. But will tell you that fair and proper consideration will be given. Is there risk? Certainly there are risks. There are risks to all parties. The county is bearing a risk. We're putting up the capital improvements and the cost of maintaining the building. The AOC, the courts, have a risk. They're expending considerable sums of money for the information technology equipment and the recording equipment. And for the municipalities, it's a new venture. You don't have total control anymore. However, I would simply tell you there are risks in any decisions you make as municipal officials. If you're not willing to take risks, you would stifle all progress and innovation. The role of effective management is to minimize and to control those risks, and that is exactly what this plan does. In the overall scheme of things, the risk is not that great, and the potential rewards are substantial. Basically, this would be a 2-year commitment for the city. The agreement provides that you're committed for 2 years from the time you join, and at the end of that 2-year period, upon 6 months' notice, you would have the right to withdraw if this isn't working out for you. I want to close by simply saying, sometimes in order to obtain meaningful results for our citizens, elected and appointed officials have to be prepared to step out of their comfort zones and think outside the box. This is one of those times. This is a concept whose time has come, and I trust, having done your due diligence, you will move forward upon proper reflection to adopt this plan for the overall benefit of the citizens of Summers Point. I thank you. With your permission, Madam President, I'd like to turn it over to Judge Sampson, who will address the social aspects and benefits from this plan, and then we will be prepared to answer any questions that you or the other members of council have. Thank you.
Thank you, council people. My name is Mark Sanson. I was a Superior Court. I practiced law in Atlantic County. I know Solicitor Franklin very, very well from that experience. I was a judge for about 15 or 16 years, mostly in the criminal division. I ended my career in Atlantic and Sahatma County's drug court, which we changed the name of to Recovery Court. I'm here not because if you entered into this venture, you would save a lot of money on a yearly basis, and I think that would be great. And I have sympathy for the taxpayers of Summers Point and the taxpayers of New Jersey, which is one of the highest tax states in the country. One of the purposes of this initiative is to drive down taxation. Also, when you think about it, in the state of New Jersey, with 21 counties, there are over 500 different separate municipal courts, which is a crazy duplication of efforts, which has historical antecedents with every small town's desire to control their own destiny, control their own courts. Do those times still exist? I think not. I think ultimately the consolidation of municipal courts is a rational move that will occur. The question is Summers Point going to do it now? The question is, I'm a retired judge at this point in time. Why am I getting involved in this issue? And I'm getting involved in this issue not because it's going to be a less expensive municipal court, which I think it's great that it's going to be less expensive and the taxpayers are going to save money. I'm here because it's going to be a better municipal court. What the three major types of cases that are in municipal court that take time, I'm not talking about traffic tickets or even speeding tickets, because most people will plead to those cases and take a great amount of time. But there are three case types that occupy, I would say, most of the time of all municipal courts. One is alcoholism and drug addiction. You see it in DUIs, you see it in possession cases, you see it in theft cases, you see it in all sorts of cases, which are now not being taken care of anymore at the Superior Court level. When I first started as a criminal court judge, if you had a small, and the mayor probably remembers these days, when you had a small residue of white powder on a glassine envelope and it was heroin, you would be indicted. And then you could go to drug court, there was a zillion rehab opportunities that the state made available, and many of them worked. And did not unfortunately work for everybody, but it worked substantially. Our drug court, we had over 1,000 people in it in Atlantic and Cape May. However, now, if you have possession of heroin, just using that as an example, you are not indicted by the Atlantic County prosecutor. And that's not just the Atlantic County prosecutor, that's all 21 states. It's remanded to the municipal courts. It's a change which has been dictated by the legislature. It's a change which has been dictated by the governor and by the people, frankly. And we didn't want to solve our drug problem by incarcerating people, because that does not work. But the dilemma that has created for the municipal courts is that you have remanded a bunch of people who are not dealers. They have possession. They're actually drug addicts. And what do? They come into municipal court. There's, in Atlantic County now, 15 municipal courts. They don't have really rehab opportunities, and they don't have a lot of ability, and they have no funds to contract with people who will provide them with rehab opportunities. So you have those people coming back, and back again. If you know anything about addiction, you'll realize that a municipal court judge wearing a black robe, even a great one, when he says to somebody, okay, you shouldn't possess heroin anymore, it's not really going to be all that effective. So you need treatment. And I can say the same thing, the other facet which creates a lot of repeat business for municipal courts is mental health issues. People who have mental health issues deviate from the law, they're arrested, they're somehow brought in here, they're create problems for themselves and for others. And so the municipal court judge has to deal with them without any resources to deal with mental health issues. The third case type, and there are others, is domestic violence. Many of these cases are being remanded to municipal courts. In the beginning of my tenure, more of these cases were indicted and dealt with at the Superior Court level, and probably not all that effectively there, very frankly. But they were dealt with at the Superior Court level. So all these people are now coming to municipal courts. There are just not enough resources in any individual of the 15 in Atlantic County or the 400 or 500 in the state of New Jersey to deal with these three issues which create all this recidivism and all the traffic in municipal courts. And actually, when you look at, you're losing 107, or how much were they losing a year working the court operations, whatever it is, it's because not new cases, it's people coming back repetitively on these types of cases. What we're going to do in the Consolidated Court, as a matter of fact, I just had the first meeting with the county executive this week in Fitzpatrick's in beautiful downtown Summers Point, and with Jewish Family Services. We're contracting to have Jewish Family Services, probably Volunteers of America, various social service agencies, having a station to set up at the municipal courts. So they'll be able to, people come in with drug problems, and there's a municipal court judge there who has a person who is repetitively possession of heroin or methamphetamine or any other illegal drugs. They see that they're addicted. This is not their first time. They have 15 arrests. It was common for me in recovery court to have people who had 20 prior Superior Court convictions. That was extremely common for me, and sometimes more. I had one guy once who had 87 prior Superior Court convictions. Okay, and he was quite an old guy, but I mean, he obviously had wasted his entire life. If somebody had intervened earlier, it might have saved a life. But in any event, what we'll be able to do is get those people, get them right into a van and take them to rehab. At that point in time, the municipal court judge will have teeth to his saying you can't use drugs anymore, and say, okay, you can get 6 months in the county jail, or you could go to rehab. Most people will select rehab. It's a fundamental truth of people who are in addiction. They don't want to stop. As illogical as it would be that you should stop, don't want to stop, so there has to be some consequence which will make them stop. In Superior Court, it's easier. You have state prison. However, state prison costs about $65,000 a year, so that's pretty uneconomic. And I know everybody's looking at the clock, and they want me to shut up. So
Clock's over here.
Oh, okay, that clock's over here. All right.
Just looking at Mr.
All right. I get carried away. I promise you I'm not going to abuse your time. So the reality of it is there has to be some effective intervention in municipal court on those three, particularly those three case types, and that will greatly reduce the traffic in municipal court, but more importantly, it will improve the lives of the people of Summers Point. Addiction is a disease. Mental health problems obviously are a disease. And the cycle of domestic violence we all know about, it's a deadly problem, and there has to be more of an intervention at the municipal court level, which frankly, 15 in Atlantic County, 15 separate municipal courts, or more, maybe 16, they can't handle it, and they are not handling it. So, and I'm not downing anybody's court. Summers Point's a great court. Everybody's a great court. And everywhere I go, they say we have the best court in the county. I know you have the best court in the county, and that's great. But you don't have the resources to deal with these status problems, these disease problems, and we will. So the reason that I got involved, and I've been trying to make these presentations, and we've got this thing done. It is going to start in January of 2022. We have 8 towns. There are about 120,000 municipal court cases in Atlantic County. We're going to have over 60,000 total cases. We're going to have half the cases in the county. The big one that we're missing currently is Atlantic City. I believe they're not coming in at this point in time. And I believe that in a couple of years, we're going to have everybody in this consolidated court. It makes too much sense in terms of cost, and it makes so much sense in terms of effectiveness. It requires change. Change is very hard. Nobody likes to change. We're not trying to hurt any individuals, anybody who works here. They're going to be considered to work for the court. The other thing you should know that during the COVID year, approximately 85% of cases were handled via computer telecommunications. People didn't have to go to court. In the new and there's been edicts handed down from Trenton that will continue going forward in municipal court. So only about 15% of cases where somebody may go to jail will be handled in person to person, and so most of the cases will be able to deal with by people on Zoom, on the computer. Part of this program is the Superior Court has agreed to pay for the establishment of what we call kiosks in every town. If you wanted it here, in the library, wherever it would be. But each town that's a member is going to get a kiosk. A kiosk is going to be a computer with somebody to tell people how to use the computer. There are people on the wrong side of the digital divide who do not have their own computers, so we'll provide a computer in each municipality so those people can make appearances via computer if they want to. There's not going to be all this need to go to Mays Landing or to even to Summers Point. That's another thing that is going to happen, and that's going to increase as time goes on. We've learned during COVID, it's been a horrible experience, which unfortunately continues, but we've learned that we don't need to have, on Monday morning in municipal court, 300 people lined up outside of Summers Point. We're also going to be a lot more efficient in that they're not going to have 300 people milling around outside smoking cigarettes in the parking lot at 9 o'clock in the morning. Because we're going to have multiple judges and multiple courtrooms in Mays Landing, in the old the brick criminal courthouse on Main Street in Mays Landing. They're going to have times. In other words, your time's going to be 10:30. Your time's at 10:45, 11 o'clock, every 10 minutes, every 5-minute segments, depending upon the name of the cases, the type of cases. The only cases that will be there will be the DUIs where there's mandatory jail in some cases, a possibility of jail. We're going to want to try and capture some of the cases, the obvious addiction, heroin, and other illegal drug cases, DV cases will be there, and also we're going to try and grab and create a mental health court, which we've never had in the state of New Jersey before. I think it makes sense. I think if you look at it on one side, it's economical for the people of this state to handle those issues and to be able to intervene at an early level before it gets so serious it goes to Superior Court and somebody gets hurt. But I think also, thinking beyond that, it's good for our citizens to have that additional resource of intervention. That's really all I have to say. I'm excited that we've got it done, that it's going to start in January. We had a process much like this with every single municipality. Jim and I have made, we have the Jim and Mark show. We've made this presentation in every municipal court that's in. We've made it in a lot of other places as well. There's 3 or 4 that are pending now, Summers Point being one of them. I don't know. We've got an initial comment that you're not that interested. And if you're not, so be it. I think you'll be in there eventually. It would be good to be on the initial phases of it, because if you're in the initial phases of it, you'll be able to be on the employee selection committee, these are meeting now in real time. This is happening. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you for a very thorough presentation. We have discussed it at length. We'll continue to discuss it, and if there's any further questions, I'll certainly reach out to you.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Are we not offering questions, or did I ask you
You
questions?
can, sure,
You can.
certainly.
The 8 towns, real quick, that you have.
Egg Harbor Township, Estelle Manor, Galloway Township, Hamilton Township, Linwood, Northfield, Ventnor, and Weymouth Township.
And you mentioned 3 that are on the bubble?
We've 4 that are on the bubble. We have outreach here, obviously, to you folks. We also have outreach to Margate, Brigantine, and
Pleasantville.
Okay, and you're going to go ahead with 8?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that
At this
was
point.
the number we determined that we needed to get started.
With the 8, just so you know, we have over 50% of the total cases in Atlantic County.
Sure, which you said was around 60,000?
Yes.
And with the support staff, you said there's 21 support staff and a 3-judge setup. Does the support staff include or prosecutors or
No,
public defenders? That's outside of that?
that's correct.
So these support staff would be full-time employees?
That's correct. And they would be county employees.
Right, and the judges, would they be full-time, or
No,
would it wouldn't be a full-time job for them?
no,
Okay, and they would be 1099 employees, I guess?
that's correct.
And the same thing with the prosecutors and the public defenders would be 1099
Right.
employees?
They would all be, the judges and the municipal prosecutors and the municipal public defenders would all be independent contractors.
And they would, I mean, would a prosecutor get a number of days, or 1 day, or?
They would get a number of sessions, and again, the actual scheduling of that obviously hasn't been set up yet. Those are things that the committee, along with the members from the Superior Court who are assisting in this process, would put these schedules together.
Let me just say one other thing. It's also contemplated there would be day court, there would be a day of night court, and there would also be possibly a weekend day, Saturday, probably a Saturday court for people who are working and who can't make it to court or will miss a day's work. And for some people, missing a day's work means you're going to get fired.
Sure. And at one point you said 190, we would save 190,000 based on your projections. That was based on an 11-town court, correct?
Correct.
And then at some point you said based on the 8-town court, we would save,
But that's because of 3 towns that would come off that list.
right?
Their cases would more than be made up for by Hamilton Township, because in the 11-member model that we did, Hamilton Township was not included in that. They came on, they started to show interest in June, and then we went there and made a presentation, I think it was on July 6th, and a couple of weeks later, they voted to join. They have over 14,000 cases, so when you add that in, their share, the allocation of the budget back to the municipalities will be based on the percentage of cases that you have, or your pro rata share of cases to the total number of cases of the participating towns. And because Hamilton Township has such a high volume, just looking at the numbers leads me to believe that that savings of, I think it was 187,000.
It's comparable to what
Would probably be pushed upwards, probably closer to 200,000.
And just let me point out one other thing. You're still going to get, your average 3-year municipal court revenue is about $204,000. You're still going to continue to get that. So you're going to turn a negative into about a $70,000 or $80,000 positive.
Okay. And as these towns, you had said earlier that all of our employees would certainly have the opportunity to apply for those jobs out there.
That's correct.
And, they may or may not get them, or they may or may not get them at the same level of salary or benefits.
That's correct.
When a town does join, is there any kind of indemnification given by the county in the event that they file a grievance or a lawsuit?
specifically discussed that issue, but yes, if the county, this would be operating under the umbrella of the county, so that if a employee, say from Summers Point, filed a grievance or whatever, the county
Would defend that.
defend that.
Okay. Well, and how many counties in New Jersey have shared service or shared court or municipal or county court?
Only one,
Yeah.
and that's Bergen, and that's special legislation. Let me explain that. Bergen County, I think, is one of the few counties in the state that has a county police force. And what happens is, the county municipal court in Bergen County is a court of limited jurisdiction. For instance, if someone gets a ticket in, a traffic ticket in, Hasbrook Heights or one of the towns
Sure.
up there, they don't go to the county municipal court for that. Hasbrook Heights would have its own local municipal court. They hear the cases that are brought by the county police or by county officials. So it's a court of limited jurisdiction, whereas this court would hear any matters that arise, including, by the way, under the legislation, the Sweeney legislation provides that all tickets written by state police will go to the central court. So starting in January, when this court gets up and running, if the state police give a speeding ticket or, arrest somebody for drunk driving on the Garden State Parkway within the boundaries of Summers Point, that case won't come to Summers Point anymore. That case will go out to the central municipal
Sure,
court. And
sure.
that's under the legislation.
And you met with the President, Senate President Sweeney, you said earlier?
No, we talked to his office. I did not personally. I know the county executive had a couple of conversations with the senator. I met with and had numerous conversations with a gentleman by the name of Kevin Grant, who is the executive director of the state senate, and the lady, I forget her name offhand now, who is the chief counsel for the Senate Democrats. The bill was sponsored in the Senate by the Senate President and Senator Beach, I think his name is.
Okay, well, I was just curious of that. Is there a big push to get more counties? Is there any county actively working as such as you are?
We believe Salem has started a process. They're obviously not as far along as we are. And the bill would apply to, I believe it's counties such as Gloucester,
Warren, Sussex.
Cumberland, Warren, Sussex, some of the more smaller or medium-sized counties. It would not apply to the big counties such as Union or Hudson or those counties.
All right, I appreciate your time and obviously with the passion that you made that presentation. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
I've got a comment. Gentlemen, this past year, we were able to deliver to these citizens out here 0 increase in their taxes. That's what we're here for, to watch that money. And my concern right now is having some experience in software systems and business systems evolving into doing things. You're really at a very beginning stage here, and there's a lot of risk associated with that when you roll it out. And what happens with risk is sometimes you have to deal with charging more money to deal with the risk. And my concern here is, and we have to discuss it further, because under the great leadership, quite frankly, of Janice, we were able to deliver that 0, okay? I think that we have to look at this very closely, and we have to be assured that you're not going to take that 0 and make it a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 5, because these folks out here don't deserve it. Our job is to make sure that tax gets lower, not higher.
It could be minus 1, 2, 3, or 5, too.
We don't live in a world of could-be's here. We live in a world of exact numbers.
Well, let me explain to you how these numbers were come up with. It wasn't me who did it.
Right.
And it wasn't Jim, with all due respect to Jim. He's much more of a financial genius than I am. No, I'm not. There are 3 guys who put these pro formas together. One is Howard Berchtold, who's worked for the Superior Court of New Jersey for 42 years, who's run municipal courts for 42 years. The other guy is Brian Jetter, who has over 20 years in just municipal courts, and the other guy is Lou Belasco, who's the chief judge of the municipal court in Atlantic and Cape May. These are three guys who know what they're doing in terms of municipal courts. They knew that these numbers would be scrutinized, and my bet is these numbers, as good as they are, and they're really good for Summers Point. If you guys join, they're tremendous for Egg Harbor Township. They're looking at possibly saving $800,000 a year. And my guess is the savings, and like, we don't know. I mean, your comment is we don't know the future, and if I have to admit to you I don't know the future, I readily admit I don't know the future, but I do know the past. And I do know that ultimately, we've got to consolidate more services in the state of New Jersey, or else we're going to drive everybody down to Florida. And this is one of the obvious ways we can do it. Can Summers Point maintain its own municipal court? Is there really any reason to do that, other than the employees? And I get that objection, but is there really any reason to do it? In some of the towns we've gone to, we like to have our own municipal courts because we like to make phone calls, right? And the one thing you don't want to do, and I know as a judge, you have somebody you know walks in your front door. You don't want to talk to that person that you know, right? You want to keep this all as anonymous because justice is anonymous. I think this is a more just system. And that's another reason why I think it's important. Money's important. I think you're going to save money. It makes sense that if you consolidate, you'll make money. Do I know what the future is? I do not.
Well, I appreciate your comments, and I know that we're all going to look at this very closely, all right? But again, when you do something new, there is risk, and that risk has to be balanced out with how much additional money you're going to want that may take this whole group here and add taxes to them. And that's something that I'm really not want to do.
And I don't blame you.
Okay? All right.
I don't blame you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Let me just say, I wouldn't expect anything less from you or any member of this governing body. That's your job and your duty to look out for the taxpayers. And so I appreciate your concerns. And I said, there are risks. We think the risks balance out, and that in the overall scheme of things, they're fairly minimal. And that there is, if you do the balancing of the risk and potential rewards out of this, we believe, Mark and I do, and the people who have studied this closely, that the potential rewards far outweigh the risks that may be present. There's risks in anything we do in life. There's risks in every decision that you have to make as an elected official. Look, I appreciate that you've allowed us to come here tonight to make this presentation. And, I trust that you will all do your due diligence and will come to a decision that you believe is best for your citizens. And that's all we can ask for, that you
definitely
give
will.
us the opportunity, you've treated us fairly, you've allowed us to come in here and make our pitch. That we've done to the best of our ability. I don't have all the answers. I can't, drill down to the last penny on this thing because things are still being worked through. But, we do our best, and I've tried, and your council president, presented a list of concerns, and I did my very best in consultation with the people in the court to appropriately respond to those concerns. And again, as we leave here this evening, if there are any other concerns or questions that come up, please, Madam President,
Absolutely.
feel free to present them to me, and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can.
Have we seen an actual budget from the county budget, any kind of budget or preliminary budget?
I can get you something.
We
on
have
that.
it.
No, I
Okay.
have not shared it, and that still is being,
Right.
being worked on. But I'd be happy when that is done to share that with you.
Okay, yeah, I would like to see that.
It's not a problem.
Okay.
I have a
I have
question.
just two questions. The first one, you said we can opt out in 2 years if we join. It's the other way around too? Can we opt in at any time we want to opt in?
Well, what I neglected to mention, because we have to get this thing up and running by January 1, okay? The assignment judge has asked us to put a time limitation of when people can join to start as of January 1, and that date would be October 1, because we we can't
No.
simply go back and forth there. You know, 1 week there's 9 towns in, and then the next week there's 10, and then there's back to 8 or whatever. You know, we have to appropriately plan. The plan on that, Councilman, would be that you could join sometime in calendar year 2022, but you would not be in, obviously, at the start of it.
Right.
And obviously, if you elected to join in, you know, for the year starting 2023, yeah, you can make application. The agreement provides that we would need a resolution from your governing body that you want to join, and that you would take steps then to dissolve your municipal court at the appropriate time, and arrangements would be made to bring the city on board.
Now, if I understood correctly, you said that only one other county, Bergen County?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's not really the model that
No.
Atlantic County's
No.
looking for.
No.
That's an entirely different model.
Yeah,
Uh,
correct.
Camden County has a county police department. Are they looking at a consolidated court?
Not that I'm aware
And
of.
they're not eligible under this jurisdiction. Don't think that it's tied to a countywide police force, because it is not. And that's someplace we've really gone through that, because I know that's a totally
Well,
controversial issue, which we're not looking to get a part of. And as a matter of fact, the county executive said he's not interested in that. That's not part of this proposal. That has nothing to do with this. And as a matter of fact,
No, well, my question just was, why aren't they looking at a consolidated court if they already have a consolidated police department?
Because it's the same, because when they were putting this legislation together, Sweeney had to get it passed. And in order to get it passed, he had to run this as a pilot program, because frankly, a lot of the, in my opinion, you're asking my opinion, with a lot of the vested interests in these bigger counties, did not want to consolidate intermunicipal courts and thus eliminate some jobs of people who may be, part of their, shall I say, inner circle, so forth and so on. I mean, that's the reality of it. So why isn't Middlesex or Mercer or whatever, and they allowed the pilot program? It's a pilot bill, and owns Atlantic Cape May, it's Salem, Cumberland. Sweeney is the senator for part of Cumberland, Salem County, so he's trying to get Salem. I wouldn't be surprised if Salem came on board, and possibly Cumberland. I've talked to Mike Testa, and I think they're interested, but it is a very hard thing to do, because you have to go to all sorts of boards like this one and try and explain why we should not live in the land of the status quo, why it's an advantage to try and consolidate this service, which is relatively non-controversial. There are others which are much more controversial than this, which will save people money, it will save Summers Point money, and I think it's going to be a better court. And we'll see, and I'm going to help it be a better court.
Okay.
So that's really the deal. But the legislation itself kind of hollows out of New Jersey, and it just allows counties to do it around the edges. The northern New Jersey counties, and then the western New Jersey counties, and then the southern New Jersey counties.
Okay.
Why did that happen? Senator Sweeney never called me and explained it to me,
Sure.
but I think I understand.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I could debate this
Yeah,
more,
we
but
could,
I'm going to just let it go at this point.
Councilwoman Bruno, did you have a question?
I have a couple questions. How will cases be prioritized? Like, will cases be going at the same speed or better than they are now, or?
It should
Well-
theoretically be a lot faster, because there's going to be more judges handling them, and it's going to be a much more efficient computer system. The states, one of the things we're getting the advantage of, if we do it, if you guys do it, Summers Point will get the advantage of. The state's investing a lot of money, because we're first. They've given us a $150,000 challenge grant to get the project going. I think the DCA is going to probably come. I don't know whether this is going to happen. May come across with other money. The Superior Court has agreed to have these kiosks in every municipality. They've agreed to put the Court Smart computer system in, which is the Superior Court level computer system, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think we're going to get all sorts of state money to do it. And because we're going to have more sessions, 80 sessions a month, up to 80 sessions a month, it should move more quickly. We're going to be able to schedule more efficiently. You won't have 900 people sitting out, particularly, I was a lawyer in Atlantic County for many years, and I appeared in every municipal court, including this one, frankly, for the first 30 years of my legal career. And you're standing out there, if you're lucky enough to have a lawyer who bellies his way up to that's the bar, right? He goes first. the citizens are sitting in the back and they're waiting till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then sometimes they'll come out and say, well, you know, we're going to have to postpone your case after you've missed a day of work. We're specifically trying to make this a more efficient system and quicker and not inconvenience people and, you know, be punitive to people without lawyers, because that's not fair. And the system now is, unfortunately, the people who have lawyers, if you see what happens, that's what happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you.
My first applause of the day, I got to tell you that.
There you go.
That was very
Take a
impressive.
bow.
My dog doesn't like me.
Thank
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
James, I've known him for like a long time, but he's a lot older than I am.
I felt like that was a really. Super helpful.
We have another presentation regarding Shore Road and Pleasant Avenue proposed redevelopment plan. I'm not sure who's here to, no? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So they'll be here on the 9th. That's correct?
Okay,
Will
thank
we
you.
have an opportunity to discuss that in this executive session?
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
that's why it's moving to the 9th.
Okay, thank you. That's why I didn't see anybody here. Anyone have any communications to offer? Hearing none. Mr. Mayor?
Take a chance to get my mask off.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a few things I just want to discuss here. First of all, the annual Richard Summers service will be held on September 15th at Richard Summers Memorial Park at 10 a.m., which is a Wednesday. What is interesting this year, and I've mentioned it before, and I will be mentioning again on the next council meeting, is that the crew of the USS Summers, now there were 6 ships that were named after Richard Summers. The last 2 or 3 are having their reunion in Atlantic City, September, I believe, 11th, 12th through the 16th. They will be coming over to the Richard Summers service, and they will be our guests that day. I understand they are bringing over memorabilia to give to us that we can display in not only in City Hall, but over in the Historical Society. There will be a 9/11 service at 8:30 on September 11th at Patriots Park. There will be a POW MIA service on Friday, September 17th at 7 o'clock p.m. at Patriots Park. And one last thing, I have a note from the family of William James McIntyre, and Bill McIntyre was a retired police officer from the Atlanta County Prosecutor's Office, but Mac did serve in this department. I also had the honor of serving with him in Northfield. It reads, "Dear Mayor Glasser, Chief Summers, and the Summers Point Police Department, we are so appreciative of the honor you bestowed upon Mac and our family. Chief Summers, you and your officers standing at attention, saluting the casket after Mass so touched my heart. You escort to the Veterans Cemetery for a brother officer. I know he would have been so honored. Mac was one of a kind and definitely a bit crazy, but he truly believed in his brother law enforcement officers. He would always be the first to back them up. Your presence at the funeral procession demonstrated to me it was not all in vain. Thank you, Mayor Glasser, Chief Summers, Summers Point Police Department, and any and all departments that took part. Bless you all for what you have done in our time in sorrow. With love and gratitude, Eileen, Terry, and Megan. And Mac was a resident of Summers Point. His family still is here. So with that, that's all I have this evening. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can you go over the times again for the 9/11?
9/11 is
what time?
8:30 on the 11th.
What time?
8:30.
8:30 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the Summers.
POW, or this Richard Summers will be at 10 o'clock. on
Okay,
the
thank you.
Wednesday, the 15th.
And-
And I'm looking forward to that one. That's,
Is the 9/11 at Patriots Park?
yes, it'll be at Patriots Park.
And then 9:15, or the 15th is that, where's that?
That's at Patriots Park.
Perfect.
Oh, no, excuse
No,
me,
the
not Patriots
15th.
Park, Richard Summers Park.
Richard Summers Park, thank
Right-
you.
Right around the corner here.
Great,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Mr. Frost?
Yes, good evening. I have two items tonight. The first one deals with the scope of the solar project that we approved at the last meeting. We got some pushback on that from the BPU, and as such, we're gonna have to scale down that project. We actually have John Robinson from National Energy Partners, who was the entity that we awarded the contract to. This is all basically happened in the last couple hours today. So I wanted to bring council up to speed because the next meeting will have a resolution for a change order. But I figured John can give a little background in terms of what happened and why we had to scale back the project.
Okay.
Should I step up here?
The microphone.
Okay. Yeah, let me get Jeremy call to the meeting. Yeah, I brought the CEO of our company in on call, since he was unable to make the meeting tonight. So what happened was, we originally proposed a solar system that would be built at the Public Works Department, and we were awarded the project to build a system that was 460,000 watts, and it would produce about 600,000 kilowatt hours of energy. It was our understanding that we could take the largest meters in the township and average those out. We could take the average of the highest using meters in the township and deliver power to the utility and get a credit for the meters in the township. Once we went to the BPU this week to submit our information to them about the meters, they came back and said that you can't, we weren't allowed to put a meter at the project. We would have to use a meter that was on the property at the project. So when we looked at that meter, because we had to use that meter, it brought our system size down, because that meter's not using a lot of energy. So that had to come into the average, and it brought the average down. So it reduced the size of the project that we proposed to about a third. So that's the change in what we planned on and what we proposed. And so at this point right now, we're in a situation where tomorrow is our deadline for applying and getting the incentives that are due. As of next week, those incentives go down. As of tomorrow, those incentives go down. So if we don't put the application in for the smaller size, then we lose the ability to build the system at the rates that we plan to give to the township.
Okay. Even at a third, I have no objection to moving forward. I don't know if anybody else does it.
I'm disappointed it's
Right.
being cut down to a third,
Yeah, me too.
but
But I think it's
still
a start.
I still think we need to move forward with the project.
I think we should. Does anybody have any objection to?
Just have a question. I know you have to go through this to get started. Is there a way to go through it and then challenge them and say, hey, no, this is what we really want to do, and make a change later on to bring it up to where we really want it?
Yeah, Jeremy, the question was that, is there a chance that we could do a change in the future to try and bring this up to the size system we proposed? At that, good. No, at that location, we're not gonna be able to do it, but, hopefully in the future, once we get out here and start to evaluate the whole town and the different entities in the town, there may be chance for other projects
Okay.
in the area.
Okay.
This is still substantial savings for the city, even at a third, so, at no cost to us. So I don't see any negative in moving forward at all, so. And I think it's a good start, and if works out well here, we can,
Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is it was a smaller project anyway, now we're being a smaller project, but the way I look at it is if we're successful with it, it's something that we can try and apply at a greater scale throughout the city.
Mhm.
So that's the way I'm looking at it.
I think there will be a good chance to expand in the future.
okay.
I just got a question too. With that, I know you're talking about scaling it down a third, possibly down the road, just say if we've had some of our city vehicles, just say, our municipal trash trucks went electric, it's possible we could expand down the road and ask for a little more from the state and then expand the solar array, wouldn't hurt, but I'm just saying.
So in other words, what we're saying is at that facility, if we had a larger demand,
Right.
could we expand the system later to fulfill that demand?
Correct.
Would that be a possibility, Jeremy? Yeah, that would be possible, yeah.
Okay.
If there's more usage, we may be able to expand it at that point.
Okay, good question.
I'm fine with that.
Great question.
Yeah, good question.
Sounds like electric scooters are on their way here, huh?
Let's not do that. Don't go there.
Okay, so the one last thing is that the bills that we have in our possession now are from 2020. So we're not really sure what 2021 is, but what we're gonna do is we're applying for more, and we're hoping to maybe make this system size at least half of what it was supposed to be.
Okay,
And that's gonna depend on the usage, so we're gonna try and, we're gonna apply for as much as we can get, and
Okay.
hopefully it'll be a good.
great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we're good.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, have a
Yes,
good night.
that was a fluid situation that I just wanted to kind of keep everyone up to date on. As I said, it happened, in the last couple hours today.
Mhm.
The other thing is noted in Resolution 146, just certifying the audit. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that all the employees, department heads, including Lucy, have a piece of the audit that they do. So even though this is for 2020, a lot of the work on the audit's done in the first and second quarter of 2021. So I just wanted to thank the employees and department heads, because obviously it's a transition year for me. So, their commitment to, following and working within the financial constraints that we have to work in. Just wanted to thank everyone, including the budget committee, who obviously, is aware of what we have to deal with. So that was it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that this just shows how seriously and how respectful they are of
Yeah, absolutely, they do it.
our dollars. Yes, thank you. Okay. Anyone like to offer any committee reports?
Council President?
Yes, Mr.
I have
Hill.
a brief committee report on the paid parking project that we were looking at, and we awarded a contract to earlier this year. The reason the committee met and we decided not to go forward because we didn't receive the signs that needed to be erected on the various parking areas until, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the fourth week in July or the first week in August?
August.
Okay, and the fact that the installation of them would require signposts and things of that nature to be ordered because we really didn't know how many signposts we would need until we got the signs. And I believe you've had discussions with the contractor, okay, the person we entered into, and they're fine with, at this point, with delaying it until the spring. And at that time, Public Works will be able to install the necessary signposts and things of that nature now because we have the signs and we know what we need to do. And besides that, doing it in late July or August, it's a busy time for Public Works, and between ordering the signs and actually having them put up by Public Works, the season would have been virtually over. And the final thing is the reason for a lot of the reason for the paid parking was because of its use. And one of the big users would have been the Clam Bar, and they were just takeout order now because of a lack of staffing. So we really wouldn't have been able to get a handle on what type of revenue we'd have been able to get from it. And obviously, if you want to add more to it, please do so.
Yeah, so the company is Park Mobile. They do a lot of the neighboring municipalities, and the concern the committee had was our obligation per the contract. So I spoke with them. It's not uncommon, especially the seasonal communities around here, to delay it's called the deployment date, right? So we'll still have the contract with Park Mobile, but when we actually deploy is, up to the governing body, right? So basically the parking committee met and elected to push this out because unfortunately this year, like everything else, we had the signs a lot later than we anticipated.
Right. And it is agreeable with the contractor.
Yeah, they said it's fine. We're not outside of the constraints of the contract, and as I said, it's somewhat common for the seasonal communities as long as.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there was no real date of
No, there was not.
requirement in the contract?
There's nothing in the contract that says that you have to have a deployment date
Right.
of X, Y, or Z.
X, Y, or Z. Okay.
Yeah, but the contract, the counting time starts from when that deployment date is. So, whenever we do the deployment date, and that's all based on the governing body and when you elect
Right.
to have them deployed.
Okay, I wanted to inform the council because it was only a committee decision. And also the fact that there are some citizens who have not only been concerned about the parking issue, but wondering what was going on with it. And I just wanted to make a public report so that it's in the record as to where the municipality stands on at least the committee stands on the parking.
Okay,
Madam
thank you.
President,
Yes, Mr.
what was just said there is that the committee has made a decision to delay the operation of a.
The committee is
Information.
recommending to council that we delay the
Well,
installation
you-
of the.
The committee, it was, Mr. Jill there just said that we had the signs in July, and the committee has deferred putting those signs up, and has deferred the revenue that would be generated, whether it's in August, September, or October, that was part of the discussion when this ordinance was passed by the full council in April.
We didn't get the
So now,
signs.
so now, for some reason, that the parking committee, a subcommittee of the full council, has gone contrary to what this council voted for. To me.
We're not
to-
canceling the contract
No, it's not, you're not implementing the ordinance.
because we don't, first of all, we have to order the equipment to put the signs up. We
It's
still
all
don't
in.
have that.
It's here. It's here.
The posts are not.
The
The
si- the
posts
sign,
are-
the
I
sign.
can go to the lumberyard
Well,
and get
the
the posts.
two issues are the signposts, because they have to be a specially ordered signpost. You just can't go to the lumberyard and order 2x4s or 4x4s or something of that nature, because you'd be replacing them in no time. They have to be installed by the Public Works Department. And to be quite honest with you, when we agreed to this contract, we didn't also realize that the manpower situation in Public Works was such that we wouldn't have been able to get them up unless we got the signs in early spring. And that didn't happen, and it was delayed because of COVID or other reasons. So therefore, the committee determined that we would just make the decision to try to negotiate with the contractor to move it to the spring, which makes a lot more sense based on the fact that, when you talk about revenue, there would have been minimal revenue because of the inaction of the various businesses in that area.
Listen, as I stated in April, I thought it was a foolish idea, and many of the neighbors and many of the citizens agreed with that. And I still think it's a foolish idea. The problem is that the subcommittee has defied what the full council wanted.
Well, would you like,
You-
we
you
can
can
take a
say
vote,
that you-
we can
you
take a
can say-
vote
you
right
can give
now
me
of
the
full
st-
council.
I'm not
If
finished.
you like,
I'm not finished. Can I finish?
please do.
Okay, the subcommittee took it upon themselves to overturn what this full council is. That's the whole tenement of what we do here. This body comes together in an open public meeting and makes decisions, and the decision of the majority takes precedence. And once that decision is made, and once an ordinance becomes law and was signed by the mayor, it needs to be implemented. And again, I think it's a terrible idea, but it's much worse to undermine what we're here for.
Excuse
This
me.
is not some sort of a party we come to. We're doing the people's work and the people's budget, and we made promises to the people, and we're not implementing. And by not, and that decision was made behind closed doors by less than a majority. It's as wrong
Well,
as wrong
moving
gets.
forward, then, let's make a decision at full council right now, and
Well, I don't know, can you overturn an ordinance on a straw vote?
we're not overturning the ordinance. We're just postponing the implementation. We are not,
Familiar with the
can't,
background, but
right.
council, the recommendation from the committee comes to council. And the recommendation, as I understand from the committee, is because of the reasons that Councilman Dill stated. The timing is off, then, if council votes tonight to say no, get them up. I don't care whether it's going to be the spring, we're going to do it as soon as you can get it up. That's council's prerogative.
Madam President.
yes.
Councilman McGuigan, we felt that we were doing what's best for the town and for the people because it was late in the season. And that's what we're here for, is to do what's best for the town and the people. And it was late in the season. We didn't want to just put it out there for everybody in the middle of August. And we made a recommendation, and we're bringing it here to the council, and we discussed it at great length. And that was what we came up with.
Well, I
We felt we made a
appreciate-
good decision.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you saying that you're doing what's best for the town and the townspeople, but undermining the credibility.
We
of
did
this
not
body-
undermine anything.
I'm sorry. Undermining the credibility of this body by taking something that this whole body voted for and not doing it. It's just, you can hear about posts and all those stuff. You undermined the credibility of this body, and
you-
it's disappointing. Now,
We are not doing it.
Well,
It's, I thought it was a terrible idea, and if we're going to vote, I am never going to vote to put paid parking there. So,
Well, I think
but
we know
I'm
that.
but I just need to express my very disappointing that the way this was done. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question?
Oh, my
I'm not
goodness.
familiar with the background, but did the ordinance have a start date?
No.
No.
no,
No, it did not.
no, it does
No,
not.
it did not.
And that's why it stayed in committee so long, to try to make a determination as to
It wa-
when the start date would be advantageous to the council and to the taxpayers.
It says a date to be determined, agreed upon with both parties.
Okay, well, procedurally, if you're going to do something by committee, it has to then come back before the full council, and the full council has to vote. So there is an irregularity here in that the committee went ahead and
So we should take a vote.
you have to present it to council.
Okay.
What the council's going to do with it after the fact, I don't know, but yes, that's the way it is.
Okay.
I mean, nothing can be done by the committee by taking action.
No.
It has to be done by the majority of
Then
the
why do
council.
we have committee?
Sure. And that's why we brought it forward tonight.
We know you only meet once a month, but during the summer, July and August.
So can we take a vote now on this?
Yeah, I mean, you've made,
On the recommendation of the
made the
parking committee?
the recommendation, and
Right.
it's now up to the council to vote whether they want to accept that or whether they want to accelerate it.
Right.
Okay, let's take a vote on whether you would like to accept the committee's recommendation or accelerate it and,
Well, I guess the first resolution is, do you want to accept the recommendation from the committee? And
Right.
if that fails, then
okay.
back with another resolution as to what you want to do.
What's the specific recommendation?
To postpone the commencement of this until spring. Because
Thank you.
by the time we get it up and running, summer will be
That's-
over, and it just doesn't make sense to
But if that's what council wants, this council wishes,
Yep.
we'll have the signs put up.
And
That's
part of
not an
the,
issue.
in doing this, this is something we wanted to try, and to not have the correct data to put it up after Labor Day doesn't make any sense. And you're gonna come back next April and say, well, it didn't work last year, why would we do it again? So it just doesn't make sense to put the signs up, let them go through the winter and get beat up. And
Plus,
doesn't
there's a
make any sense.
manpower issue with Public Works being able to
Right,
expedite it.
Public Works is short-staffed right now.
Now, let's have a vote. I mean,
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
and yes means taking the council committees.
Yes means taking the committee's recommendation to
Recommendation.
postpone installation until April.
Yes.
Excuse me, is this by resolution, or am I just taking a roll
No,
call?
we're just a roll
Just
call.
roll call, okay.
To accept or
Ca-
reject the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Bruno?
Yes.
Councilmember Dill?
Yes.
Councilmember Frieri?
Yes.
Councilmember McCary?
Yes.
Councilmember McGuigan?
Well, as I stated, I don't ever want
Yes or no?
paid park. I'm allowed to voice, that's what a roll call vote is. I don't want paid parking down there. I'm disgusted and disappointed by the actions. I vote yes.
You vote yes?
Councilmember Owen?
Yes.
And Council President Johnston?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry my report brought up such a major dispute, but it is what it is, and the committee's responsibility is to report back to council.
Any other committee reports to offer?
Madam President, I attended the Arts Committee, and they're working on their 2022 plans, and they are painting a utility box under public art at Bay and Maryland Avenue.
Okay. Thank you.
And also, Mike Owen and I attended the
Trivia night.
trivia night at the, and more
Museum.
people should attend. They really do put on a good presentation, and we learned things about government, like council members have been shot at and
Oh, boy.
stuff.
Don't give them any ideas.
Oh, my God.
Duck.
And 3 of our previous mayors were in jail at the same time.
Oh, my God.
Really?
So it was an interesting.
Watch out, Jack.
Summers Point Historical Society's been doing a great job, and with that, they're having, as the mayor said, September 15th, the USS Summers Crew Association will be here in town. And if I'm not mistaken, on their website, they're having a luncheon over at Great Bay Country Club, $37 per person from noon to 4 o'clock,
Yeah, that's,
When is that, please?
it's on a 15th.
which
Oh,
will
that's-
follow the 10 a.m.
I believe,
Oh,
I
okay.
believe that's just private for the Summers Crew. Like,
Okay.
what it is, it's their 10th anniversary of their reunions. They are, like I said, there was a series of meetings that are going on. Hope it's recording. There's a series of meetings going on with the Summers Crew in Atlantic City at the Tropicana during that week. And then they're coming over for the Richard Summers Memorial. And that's one thing I guess I was remiss to mention. Kirk Garrity and, get rid of that. Kirk Garrity and the, I'm sorry about that, Patsy, you know, keep forgetting. Kirk Garrity and the Summers Point Historical Society have done a lot of work on this. We've had a couple meetings so far with Jason and police and the fire and Public Works to move on this. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm so glad that the crew of the Summers is coming over here. They really are interested in seeing Summers Point. So, with that.
Also want to mention too, the Patriots for Summers Point, they raise money for the mansion. They're going to be having another jazz quartet September 4th, I believe 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Help raise money so they can get a new bathroom installed over at the mansion. Also, EDAC, we just met this past Monday. We're moving forward, making the city a bicycle-friendly community. They're sending a letter. Jim Rotella sent a letter to try to get some money here for us to improve bicycling throughout the town, make it a safe town. Good things.
Also, just from EDAC, another thing that we discussed was the cannabis issue. So that committee is still moving forward and gathering information and coming up with a very, very strong presentation that they'll eventually do to the public as soon as they have all of the information. So,
Madam President?
yes.
School board, they are planning a music play production of Grease Junior for grades 4 through 8 for next May, 20th through 21st at the Gateway Playhouse. And on next week, on the 31st, there will be a Back to the Books Community Resource Fair at the Jordan Road School, also co-sponsored by the Green Team from 6 to 8 p.m.
Great. A lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of July 27th, 21, and the executive session minutes of 6/24/21 as content only?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, proclamations. We have a proclamation proclaiming September as Summers Point History Month. Mr. Mayor?
And would Madam City Clerk do me the honors, please?
Certainly. Proclamation number 8 of 2021, proclaiming September as Summers Point History Month. Whereas Summers Point has a rich and storied history, originally known as Somerset Plantation, which is the oldest settlement in Atlantic County dating back to 1693 and was originally settled by John Summers. And whereas known as a seafaring town and the birthplace of Richard Summers, who was born in Summers Point on September 15, 1778. He served in the United States Navy and is a legendary hero who gave his life serving his country on September 4th, 1804 in Tripoli, Libya. And whereas the Patriots of Summers Mansion will host a concert series on September 4th, 2021, recognizing Master Commandant Richard Summers at the historical Summers Mansion built in the early 1700s. And whereas the Summers Point Historical Society is proud to sponsor the Beach Concert Series on September 10th, 2021, and will present a maritime exhibit at Good Old Days Festival on September 11th, 2021. And whereas the City of Summers Point and the Summers Point Historical Society plan to host the Richard Summers Day event at the Atlantic County Library, also known as Old City Hall, to pay tribute to Richard Summers on September 15th, 2021 at 10 a.m. And whereas the USS Summers Crew Members Association will be traveling across the United States in attendance during their 10-year reunion in Atlantic City and will be our guest in Summers Point. Now, therefore, I, John L. Glasser, Jr., by virtue of this authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Summers Point, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim September as Summers Point History Month to be celebrated annually.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Also, I'm going to throw some trivia out there, especially Richard Summers trivia. The rank of Master Commandant. Now, we all see that everything you see about Richard Summers is Master Commandant, is equivalent to Lieutenant Commander in today's Navy. So a little bit of trivia there. So, well, Lieutenant Commander, of course, is one of the ranks. Yeah.
That's all you got, Jack?
That's all I got.
I mean, when you were talking about trivia, I thought maybe it was going to be
That
like
was a
10
trivia
questions.
question,
No?
I just threw
Okay.
that out there.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to, we're going to be a long night, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ordinance number 11, please.
Ordinance number 11 of 2021, an ordinance fixing the salary, wages, and compensation of the officers and employees of the City of Summers Point, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's a second reading, isn't it?
Right, so we're now, that
Open
was
to
a
the
motion to open to the public. We're now open to the public for public comment on ordinance number 11, 2021. Anyone wishes to speak, please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Motion to close the public portion on ordinance number 11.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now closed to public portion. Could I have a motion for ordinance number 11, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Fieri,
Yes.
Councilmember McCary,
Yes.
Councilmember McGuigan,
Yes.
Councilmember Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Bruno,
Yes.
Councilmember Dill,
Yes.
Council President Johnston.
Yes. Okay, moving on to resolutions. Madam Clerk. You don't go through them first?
Motion to open. You got a motion?
Okay.
I don't care. I thought that's what we usually did.
Resolution number 143 of 2021, resolution of support from local governing body authorizing an application for the fiscal year 2021 flood mitigation assistance program administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Resolution number 144 of 2021, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the United States Department of Homeland Security for the fiscal year 2021 FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program. Resolution number 145 of 2021, support submission of grant application SRI 2022 Summers Point City 00021 to the New Jersey Department of Transportation Safe Routes to School Program. Resolution number 146 of 2021, certification of receipt and review of the audit for the year 2020. Resolution number 147 of 2021, release of bond posted on 19 MacArthur Boulevard. Resolution number 148 of 2021, executive session regarding proposal for redevelopment of Block 719, lots 15, 16, and 17, including communications with Fair Share Housing Center, and Block 1214, lots 9, 10, 11, 12, and 16, including communications with Fair Share Housing Center, and legal and procedural issues and communications with Fair Share Housing Center for a proposal for redevelopment of Block 1211, Lot 2. Resolution number 149 of 2021 regarding execution and delivery of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Summers Point and Summers Point Paddle LLC. Resolution number 150 of 2021, resolution of support Route 9 bus stops. Resolution number 151 of 2021, awarding a contract for the demolition of 5 and 7 Seashore Lane. Resolution number 152 of 2021, awarding bid for 2021 storm water pipe cleaning and video inspection.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open for public comment on resolutions only.
My name is John Omanelli, I live at 905 Shore Road in Summers Point. Would you please find the parameters for the property at 19 MacArthur Boulevard, is why it's being bonded?
That's not. This is for discussion of just the
Just the
resolutions.
Yeah, but you're discussing the resolution, but you're saying
That's
that
a,
you're going to bond that property?
that's
No.
discharging the bond.
Discharging the bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now closed to public comment. Resolution number 143.
Resolution number 143 of 2021, resolution of support from the local governing body authorizing an application for the fiscal year 2021 flood mitigation assistance program administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 143 is approved. Number 144.
Resolution number 144 of 2021, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant agreement with the United States Department of Homeland Security for the fiscal year 2021 FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Program.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 144 is approved. Number 145?
Resolution number 145 of 2021, support submission of a grant application SRSI 2022 Summers Point City 00021 to the New Jersey Department of Transportation Safe Routes to School Program.
May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 145 is approved. Number 146.
Resolution number 146 of 2021, certification of receipt and review of the audit for the year 2020.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 146 is approved. Number 147.
Resolution number 147 of 2021, release of bond posted on 19 MacArthur Boulevard.
May I have a motion,
I'll
please?
make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 147 is approved. Number 148.
Resolution number 148 of 2021, authorizing executive session. Any pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiation in which the public is or may become a party. Any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer. The nature of the matters to be discussed described as fully as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality. 1. Advice of counsel and attorney-client communication regarding the legal procedural issues pertaining to a proposal for redevelopment of Block 719, lots 15, 16, and 17, including the negotiation of the terms and conditions of a memorandum of understanding, a redevelopment agreement, and affordable housing obligations in compliance with Summers Point Municipal Code, Chapter 69, and the April 26, 2018 court-approved settlement agreement between the city and Fair Sharing Housing Center. 2. Advice of counsel and attorney-client communication regarding the legal and procedural issues pertaining to a proposal for redevelopment of Block 1214, lots 9, 10, 11, 12, and 16, including the negotiation of the terms and conditions of a memorandum of understanding, a redevelopment agreement, and affordable housing obligations in compliance with Summers Point Municipal Code, Chapter 69, and the April 26, 2018 court-approved settlement agreement between the city and Fair Share Housing Center. 3. Advice of counsel and attorney-client communication regarding the legal and procedural issues and status of negotiations, including discussions with Fair Share Housing Center pertaining to a proposal for redevelopment of Block 1211, Lot 2, and the affordable housing obligations in compliance with the Summers Point Municipal Code, Chapter 69, and the April 26, 2018 court-approved settlement agreement between the city and Fair Share Housing Center.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 148 is approved. Number 149.
The lady stood
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just want to explain, ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, the lady stood up. Ma'am, the lady stood up. Just procedurally, we had public session beforehand for the ordinances. We'll have another chance to have public session.
It would-
afterward.
yeah.
Yes, without a doubt. Just wanted to bring that to you, so you don't get frustrated.
Where am I at? Resolution number 149.
Resolution number 149 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Summers Point and Summers Point Paddle Club LLC and designating Summers Point Paddle Club LLC as interim conditional redeveloper of Block 1211, Lot 2.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution number 149 is approved. Number 150.
Resolution number 150 of 2021, resolution of support Route 9 bus stops.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? I would like to make a comment. This has been a very arduous task here to get these bus stops done. So I think this is our last step from what they tell us. It's been about a year and a half, but thanks to John Helbig and our city engineer, Greg, we've kept this moving forward, and I appreciate all your work on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 150 is approved. Number 151.
Resolution number 151 of 2021, awarding a contract for the demolition of 5 and 7 Seashore Lane.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Any comments?
It's long overdue. It's a disgrace out there.
Absolutely.
It needs to be done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 151 is approved. Number 152.
Resolution number 152 of 2021, awarding bid for 2021 stormwater pipe cleaning and video inspection.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 152 is approved. Yeah, right. Okay. Old business. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? Hearing none. New business. We have a application for a bike race for National Multiple Sclerosis Society on September 25th and 26th. And assuming all of their
Yes.
insurances and all are up to
Everything's in
date.
order, and the police chief signed off on it.
Okay.
Okay.
State approval of Summers Point Emergency Operation Plan. Do I have that?
Yeah. I've seen it, I've read it. The only comment I just want to make is I want to give kudos to Phil Gaffney and Roger Tees and the whole crew out of Emergency Management for putting together this plan. It covers all aspects of emergency management, so.
This is a lot of work, and to get this plan approved, they really did a really good job, so just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. Discussion of the bills, Mr. Frost.
Sure. So this evening, we have a bill list in the amount of $3,369,444.67, as well as two record of payments, one in the amount of $142,777.33. The other record of payment in the amount of $148,251.01.
Thank you. May I have a motion to open to public comment, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open for public comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
Morgan Avenue. Pleasure to be here tonight. I was hoping I'd see a consent agenda, though. Nice and long. First of all, thanks for the nice bike path again. It's great. Figured I'd use it all the time. I figured I'd see the mayor or some council people out there on the bicycle. I could talk to them.
We're in
Up there at just different times, Jeff. We come
Yeah,
out
me
a little
too.
bit earlier.
I'm incognito, sunglasses, hat, helmet.
My main concern tonight is the court and where we're going with the county court system. I crunched some numbers. They're similar to what Jim Ferguson said tonight because the original figure given to you guys obviously had the 8 courts in there, the 8 towns in there, and we're down to 8. The one thing that I do know by working in government, municipal government, 3 things about court. One, generally less than 1% of our residents use the court. In Summers Point, it may be higher because you have apartments and transient people and people coming into Summers Point, but generally, a very small amount of people use the court. 95% or more of the people, or the residents, you know, they're not in trouble, traffic tickets and all that kind of stuff. So ballpark is subsidizing the court. Number two, most every court that you see loses money, and that's evident with Atlantic County courts. They lose money. It's just the nature of the court business. And number three, they're necessary. Every town has to have a court. Whether they share services, whether we go in with the county, whether they go in with another town, because of state laws and all, every town's responsible to have a court. I'm not going to go into the figures. It's a long night tonight, but I do want to make some comments about what was said tonight, and I'll wrap it up, and I won't be that long. But I do want to say that the figures are pretty much spot on what Mr. Ferguson said about the savings. Right now, we know that the court, Summers Point Court, is losing approximately $130,000 a year that's costing the taxpayers of this town. And that came from numbers that I got from the administrator. And him and I have had some dialogues, Jason and I, about this. I wanted to just go back and look at just a few towns that went into this, what was being said. And the first one is Egg Harbor Township. And they could have easily said, you know what, we're a big township. We're only going to save $330,000 a year. Their budget is $44,415,000. They could have easily said that and said, well, just keep it home rule. What do they want to do? They wanted to save the taxpayers money. They run one of the biggest and costliest courts. Councilman Ray Ellis, he expressed concern about the employees, obviously, which is a concern. He didn't want them to lose their job. But he also wondered aloud, according to this newspaper article, why some municipalities did not want to participate in a countywide system. We all have a say. His concern is why aren't more towns getting involved? Galloway. Galloway voted for this. I don't have anything on it, but just so that no one says, this is more Republican towns doing this or Democrat towns. It's not about politics, but if anyone says anything, in Galloway, it was a 3-2 vote with 3 Democrats going against 2 Republicans in that situation. So I'm just throwing that out there that this is not a political thing, that it's for Republican, Democrat, it's for the people. Their budget, Northfield, is $13 million, and their mayor, this was in Atlantic City Press, at the time, he said the city expects to save about 30% or $40,500. But with the 8 courts now, he's down to $23,000. But what struck me is the fact that it's a small amount of money compared to a $13 million budget. They could have easily said, you know what, I think I'll just stay with, I think we're sharing a court with Linwood or something. But no, that's a lot of money to them. Taxpayer money is being used here. So you got to look at that and say, where are we going with this? These other towns, again, the mayor said if more towns join, the number will change. The greater the savings, which is what this is all about. Just the last thing here. Hamilton. They just came out, obviously, and joined the court. They should have been one of the first ones because the court building is right up the street from their town hall, so it makes sense that they would go into this. But they had some concerns, just like you do and every other municipality does. And it says, a giant leap toward their township. They're talking about nearly a $500,000 gain. The mayor, Charles Kane, don't know him, but he was very skeptical about it at first. Like he was saying, no, we're not going to do this. We're just not going to do it. We got a well-run court. It's doing really well. And I know the court administrator, and I want to preface by saying this too, and I forgot to say it, that I'm the CFO for Estelle Manor and for Weymouth Township. So of course I'm looking for more towns to get into this, but I'm still a taxpayer here in this community, so I want to see us get into it also.
Not a conflict of interest.
Last couple comments. He said, I was a hard no at the beginning, and then we collected all the necessary information, just like we did tonight, and sent it to our auditor for review. The results came back very positive. Their auditor is Leon Costello of Fort Scott, which are the auditors here. and I know you had some dialogue with the auditor, don't know all the details, but you should talk to him and see, because this is what he's saying here about the municipality. And the only way to achieve real tax relief is by consolidation of services. Apparently they have, split vote in that municipality too, but the nature of this article said bipartisan vote. 5-0 unanimous vote in Hamilton about that. And they said that they sent a clear and decisive message supporting our county executive to bring significant tax relief to township residents by joining the county court. With rising wages, health care, pension costs, regionalization of services is the last frontier for municipalities to provide significant tax relief to its residents while maintaining essential services, included Mayor King. And the last article was headlines, small headlines, about maybe 4 months ago. And I'm reading the paper, and it says, Summers Point not understanding court savings. Well, I looked at this, and it goes on to say, Estelle Manor, other than Estelle Manor, Summers Point stands to realize the greatest percentage of savings, and that's when 17 towns was coming into it. And the person said, I'm offering 23 towns the opportunity to jump in. Half the towns are interested. Summers Point would save almost $200,000 a year. And it winds up to say, if municipal officials truly want to help their taxpayers save money, the countywide municipal court system deserves their serious consideration. If they believe home rule takes precedence over property tax relief, so be it. It's written by Dennis Levison. I've never shaken hands with the guy. I've seen him all over the place over the years. But he seems to be a credible individual that knows what he's doing. And the last thing is, and I know that there was talking about the risk with this. And yes, there's risk with everything. Jason and I was talking about it. I guess we were talking about rolling a dice with this and knowing where we're at. You have to take risks. You have to think outside the box. Right now, we know that going in 2022 budget, this court will lose approximately $130,000 based on the numbers, somewhere in that area. So you asked, McCary, about the court, that how you're going to tell the taxpayers if the court is going to cost, if we go in with it, that there could be a possibility that they fail and they're going to cost us money. And my question to you, and not to get an answer, but how can you face the people, the public, knowing that this court is going to cost the taxpayers $130,000 loss next year, or somewhere thereabout? We know that it's going to take place. So you got a chance to go from $130,000 in the hole to about $60,000 to $80,000 plus, and that's counting the $100,000 budget, which I tied in with my numbers, if you did have to pay the overtime. We don't think that, looking at the numbers and what the judge said, is that it's going to be much less than what you're anticipating here. So let's just say if it was like maybe $75,000 for overtime, you're still looking at a little bit over $100,000 in the black. I mean, it's like, to me, it's just like, why haven't we done something already? Steve Sweeney, president of the State Appeals Council, had a law passed through the New Jersey Senate and through the New Jersey Assembly to set this up. He's third in command in the state. He's not going to put his neck out there and have it chopped off because he thinks that this is going to fail. The State Department of Community Affairs already has awarded $120,000 through this LEAP grant, which means Local Efficiency Achievement Program, where towns are going to combine and share services. The state's already supposedly awarded that already. Jim Ferguson has been around for many years. He used to be the solicitor here. I've worked with him. He's a fine gentleman, and he's got a lot of get on board. Let's get on the very beginning of this. Let's be the leaders. You have 8 towns, 3 of the biggest towns, Take Upper Township, Hamilton, Galloway. They're saying, you know what? This court is great. Let's go for it. We stand a lot to lose. But they signed on. Sister towns, I call them sister towns, Glenwood, Northfield. I never thought Ventnor would sign on, or Margate, because, you know, they're kind of out over along the ocean. Ventnor signed on. Of course, Estelle and Weymouth signed on. I've been after them for 8 years to get out of the court business. It's costing us money. It's costing us over a penny on the tax rate every year. It's just ridiculous to be in it. Plus all the security and all the things that you have to go through, the dangers of running a court. This is something that is going to take off. And we have a chance to be on the forefront. And we have a chance to save money and not lose money for the taxpayers. And Council President, you said you're going to talk about it. October 1st is coming up. Can we meet? I say we. I would love to sit on this side committee with you guys and get Levison here, get Jim in a room, get the police chief, get you, a couple council people. Let's crunch the numbers. Let's make a deal. Let's make sure that we can do everything we can for our employees here, that they can stay employed and move with this. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let's do what's right.
I just want to say, we are definitely, we've sat down with every single person that you have on your list as well, and we will continue to look at this and look at the numbers. And I would like to see a budget. I have not seen a budget yet, so I think that's a big factor of it.
Budget, Jetta, so you can't let that stall things, because they're formulating their budget now.
Right.
The figures are
Exactly.
such that it's tied in on their budget. But Jim said he'll try to give you a detailed budget. But I mean, what's the budget gonna say? That it's gonna show that all these numbers are fake and that all these towns have been given false information? I wouldn't say so. It is what
Okay.
it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
I know you guys
Your
really
research.
want the best for this town.
We do.
Such many great things here in this town. You need to be commended, appreciate all that you do. You got your heart into it. I mean, my land, you started a firestorm on Bay Avenue with this parking. You want to save taxpayer money. You went through all that. And this here could be something so simple that you could get out of the hole
Get off the soapbox.
and make $100,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate all your research and
Thanks,
time.
Jim.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Gibbs. I live on 549 Sunny Avenue, Summers Point. I am a neophyte at this, so don't expect me to have a prepared presentation. But I have just a couple questions about number 148-2021, which is the block 1214, where you want to change that into multifamily, higher density. Is that
Where is that?
approved, or
Executive
that meeting that's going to happen
Yeah.
on 9/9, is that open to the public? I don't understand how that proceeds.
That's an executive session discussion that we're going to have later tonight.
Okay, is the public allowed to hear what that?
No.
This
mm-mm.
is my opportunity to say something?
Sure.
Okay. So that block, 12, 14, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 16, I did look at that one. I didn't look at 12, 11, and 2. That's an R1 zone. And from what I'm seeing, that wants to be converted on the main street on Shore Road to 75 parking lots, 75 parking spaces, and 12 homes in residential properties. I mean, we've got a school to consider. That right now, there's a problem with parking when the parents come and pick up the kids. They're parked on Pleasant Avenue, they're parked on Sunset, they're parked on Sunny. Are they going to be using that parking space? And again, if it's an R1 zone, what's the process to just change it to a higher density? I just had some questions on that. I haven't followed it real closely, but I'm here tonight. So I wanted to know if there was any other way that the public and those people that are going to be affected by it, which will be me, and about 12 other homes in that neighborhood that are going to be affected by that.
Yeah.
We have
We're-
a chance to.
We're going to discuss it in executive, and it'll eventually be presented to the public as well.
Okay, and then the other one was the R149. Will that be the same thing with the paddle club? That's going to be an executive and then brought to the public for more conversation?
Is that Mr. Franco?
No, we had a presentation.
We already had that
last meeting
presentation.
On that.
Okay, because what I did hear about that too is, again, there was gonna be a tremendous amount of parking space there. It was gonna be for the public. I mean, Harbor Cove already has.
No, it's, you may have some misinformation. If you want to talk about it, I'd be glad to
Can I
talk to you.
talk to you another time then? Okay. Thank you very much. I will be ready for the next public meeting.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question about.
Need the name and address.
I'm sorry, I need your name and address again.
Criminelli 905 Shore Road, Summers Point. The development that might occur between the Public Works Building and Surfside Casual on Center Street. Recently, they had an event back there, and unfortunately, they have a lot of cars coming down Summers Avenue and trying to get onto Shore Road, and it was almost a catastrophe. I can sit on my patio and watch the cars dart in and out onto Summers, right, and on the shore, and there must have been at least 100 cars trying to make that exit onto there. There is no stop sign on Summers Avenue, west on Summers Avenue from Center Street going towards Shore Road. There should be a stop sign there because you have the bike path there. So when you enter onto Summers and come down to Center, those cars don't stop, they just go right around the bend again, right? I've seen a couple of times where in my process of going down there where bikers choose not to use the bike path, but to choose to come up Summers where, bikers have almost been taken out because there's no stop sign, the car goes around, and then the biker wants to come up that road. So that intersection itself is a hazard, and.
That's at Summers and Center Street?
Center Street?
Not Shore Road, right? There's a stop sign.
Summers and Center Street.
Summers and Center Street, okay.
And there should be at least a stop sign for coming in that will force the cars going towards Center Street to have to stop. And the traffic that I've seen coming out of that, from the newly proposed development that's supposed to go in there, Summers cannot handle traffic coming from that specific development. It's just not built to handle that many cars that would come out. So that I would hope that whatever comes to council and goes to the zoning board, right, would take into consideration the fact that that's going to cause a traffic hazard in that area. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Frost, can you just have a conversation with our police department and find out what they,
Yeah, that-
how they feel about that particular
Yeah, there
intersection?
should be a stop sign there, yeah.
Okay, good. Hello, Patricia Pearson, Morris Road, Summers Point, New Jersey. I'm a taxpayer, and I speak for myself. I want to go over a few things, but one is, I want to ask the city council and Mr. Frost if they would send a letter to the city of Ocean City congratulating them on the fact that they are, for the 8th year in a row, the best beach in the state of New Jersey. Since we are a sister city, and since we're supposed to be friendly and nice, we should commend them for maintaining and keeping that nice beach. And I think that would be an A-plus thing to do. That's my opinion.
I can do that, Pat.
Okay.
I'll send it out under my signature.
Secondly, I just want to say this is a little sad. 4 people died in this town, or around this town. And I wanted to say RIP, and I wanted council to know. Some of you will not know who I'm saying, and others will. Adrian Izzard passed away, which is a little shocking. Mrs. Mazzio passed away. Mr. Sikora passed away. They had, or
I'm going to be voting on the court. There is no,
No conflict there.
there's no conflict of
conflict
interest there.
No, I mean, are you going to be sitting in on it, or is your vote going to be counted, or are you going to abstain?
My vote is going to be counted. I have no conflict of interest there. Okay, so I'll either vote yes or no, depending on the facts that come to me, and I can look at and evaluate.
Figure it out before, and
Absolutely.
how about you, Sean?
Well, I hadn't thought of a conflict until you just brought it up. I will consult with the attorney, but I would consult with the attorney, but I think that I could judge that fairly, even though I do have a son that is a police officer. But I believe that I can, again, judge it fairly. But of course, I will have a consultation with the attorney.
Count, and it would look good if you abstained, both of you.
I think that's an attorney, that's an
Yeah,
attorney
you're giving legal
question.
opinion there.
We'll
I'm
ask
gonna get
for
my
legal
opinion
advice.
from here.
Okay, let me
What?
try to explain my situation.
We'll just ask for legal advice
idea
on
on that.
that.
Number one, it will be a legal opinion by our solicitor. I've already had some brief discussion.
Can't hear you, Howard, you got that?
I've had some brief discussions with the solicitor, okay, in reference to whether or not I have a conflict of interest. Okay, years ago, my wife worked for Shore Memorial, and there were people on this council who said I couldn't vote for anything associated with Shore Memorial because my wife worked there, okay? I got a legal opinion on that because she was only one entity of 300 or 400 nurses, okay? And the operation of the hospital, there was no conflict of interest there. The only, my opinion and the legal opinion I've always gotten is if it's a conflict of interest, if it directly affects either one of my children, okay? And, wait a minute, let me finish now, okay? And the fact that, okay, it doesn't, they don't have any control over the court system, okay? They work for the city of Summers Point. I'm a councilman, and, you know, we have Mr. Franklin here, but Mr. Smith has advised me that there is no conflict of interest because it's multiple municipalities, multiple employees, multiple organizations that are entering into this, and we're just one.
Okay, I trust your opinion, I just wanted to know, people ask me, I don't know, so it
Well-
doesn't matter to me if you do or you don't, it's just what perception.
I will be voting on this based on, unless the city solicitor tells me differently.
Okay. Now, as far as the court, you people are a new council. You're new at municipal government, you're all new. Jason's new, everybody's new. Howard's not new, and Sean isn't new, and the mayor, but the whole council. And the bottom line is, you did raise, go down a half a cent, I give you all that, or you kept it even, that was really good. But this municipal court, you gotta listen to the experts, it has to go, okay? You just keep thinking about it. I wanna tell you three things. Denny Levinson is an administrator of the Atlantic County. He's top of the line administrator. Atlantic County has the best bond rating in the state, okay? Tops, okay? So that's number one. Number two, he would not put his neck out on this if it wasn't gonna go right. He wouldn't. Now, one thing he did, a couple of years ago, Boscov's was failing.
Listen, ma'am,
Wait a minute.
I just want to say, I'm going to judge it based on the merits
Let her finish.
of the proposal.
Let her finish.
not-
She has the
not what
floor,
Mr.
Mr.
Levinson
McGuigan.
had to say, or what happened at Boscov.
I want to tell you about the merits of
Sure.
Atlantic County, and we're talking about Atlantic County,
Sure.
not Denny Levinson, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So Atlantic County was able, due to Denny Levinson, but Atlantic County backed Boscov's. They kept that there, the Shore Mall, they looked at all the records, everything went well, Boscov's paid back 100% done, perfect. He was able to do it because of the bond rating. Second, Atlantic City High School, the one that they emptied out over there by the monument, it was a big
We haven't made a decision yet.
We haven't made
We
a
haven't made our
on that
decision yet. We have not made a final decision yet. We're gathering all of our information.
This home rule stuff is for the birds. Home rule was good years ago. Home rule doesn't work now. It just doesn't work. I sat here, I was convinced.
Good for you.
I want you to think about it. The taxpayers of Summers Point want to see how strong you are, and if you're a good professional counsel. The union boys all left. Now the professionals are on. Let's see what the professionals can do.
That's not, that's not
We're-
necessary.
We're taking it very seriously, I promise you.
Good evening, Bill Collins, 814 Bay Avenue and 550 Bay Avenue. I want to start, since I'm here in person, to thank first the Budget Committee for a great job you did on this year's budget with zero tax increase. Thanks to every member on council for voting for it. And thank you, Mayor Glasser, for saying, hey, great job that the Budget Committee did, and I'll agree with you on that one. Terrific. Hopefully, it'll be the same. And Joe, I know you do the zero thing, and maybe next year it'll be the same, no tax increase. And a special thank you to Janice Johnson for making it happen.
Thank you.
I think Judd Moore just summarized everything up as far as the court, so I'm not going to, go into everything that he went into. But I think it was good that I got to listen to the professionals, Judge Sampson and Jim Ferguson, to hear it firsthand. I've got the articles that Joe wrote back on the 7th of July, and I read the rebuttal from Denny Levison and so forth. And I didn't see what Costello did. I guess that's your auditor in terms of pulling numbers together, and I guess Jason pulled some numbers together too to see where we really are. You have all that information. You got to make the decision with it. But some of the things that just came out tonight that I wasn't aware of was that, I don't know where the police chief stands, but he would probably like this headache of the court off his shoulders as well. But one of the numbers that came out was, and I don't know if 2 officers have to be at every court, when every court's in session, 2 officers. But there's a number right there that could really parlay part of your thinking. And I've read numbers from $120,000 to $130,000 in overtime. Jim Ferguson said it was $91,000. Whatever the number is, I think you got to look at it. Judge Sampson said that, most of the cases, with the exception of maybe about 15%, could be done on Zoom, and all the electronic equipment they're going to get, it's going to be brand new. And that 15% is the guys that he said are going right to jail. And I think the other things that he said, too, that were really important, that there was 3 things that he said that, three real things that packed the court, and that was alcohol and drugs, mental health, and violence. And that they had the resources that the little courts like Linwood, Summers Point, Estelle Manor, whomever, okay, they just don't have that ability to get them into rehabilitation and make a difference. And I think that's real important when you make your decision. But it really comes down to the numbers. Is it 130,000 in the red? And okay, forget whatever the savings is. Is it 100,000? You get the whole 190,000, whatever it is. It's the 130 you save plus the 100. It's 230. I mean, you got to look at the numbers. So, and then I think the other issue that everybody had was the personnel. And I think you had a few people here that have been tenured associates for some time, and certainly you have an obligation towards them. But if we sign up, that is, Summers Point signs up by October the 1st, you, as a committee, can serve on that personnel committee, and you would have some influence as to who you're going to hire. So you have a hand into it. So you're not going to be out in the cold. So the sooner maybe that you think about getting into it, it may benefit the city as well and the taxpayers. I know I like to see that, like I said, Ms. McGreevy, another zero increase next year instead of waiting another 14 years to see the next one, okay? I just dropped my check off last week for $6,114.24, third quarter only. So thank you for your time, and thank you again for the tax
Thank you.
Teresa Teresa Doherty. I'm married. 26 Dogwood Drive. So I have three things, and I will be quick because it's late. The first thing, please, can you put more explanation and details on the agenda? Very hard for us to do public comment on resolutions when we have no idea what's at stake or really what's behind the things that you're putting on the agenda. I know it's been said that Ocean City has more resources, but if you look at their agendas and what they provide to the public in terms of transparency and details on their website, it far exceeds what we have here. And it makes, again, it very difficult to be informed citizens of this town. Second, Zoom. I'll urge you again to please consider, I saw you at a Zoom meeting last week. Clearly it's hard for a lot of you to keep the masks on, so maybe if you had Zoom, anyone that doesn't feel safe, including members of the council, could have an opportunity to still participate and do their due diligence by Zoom. And third, on the shared services, a lot of people are talking about the money, which it seemed to me it's pretty clear that the money, I don't know how you can say that you think that it's going to be going up in cost. It does seem to be pretty clear that it'll go down in cost, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the human issues here. Like, these are human beings that are coming through the courts. And the issues that were made clear tonight, a more just system, less local bias, better access to resources, efficiency, and consideration for working community members are all things that should be really important. And then just finally on that, let's not stay still all the time. You guys are so afraid to do stuff, it seems like. Let's move forward. Let's make some progress. It seems like we're so scared to do anything new. What if we're the first county? It's okay. What if it's great and we show others that this is a great thing to do? So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion to close to public comment, please?
So
I'll move
moved.
that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now closed to public comment. We go into executive session.
Want to take a recess?
Yeah, we're going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to go into executive session. The public, you're more than welcome to hang out in the lobby until we're through. We'll reconvene after our 2 executive discussions.
How far? You don't run that.